Good afternoon. Today is the 21st of February and I've just finished filming No Budget Reviews episode 201. Yesterday I actually filmed No Budget Reviews episodes 199 and 200. So since this is one of the most popular types of video that I do on the channel, in amongst the 1700 videos I've made since 2018, I thought we'd not only take a look at perhaps some of the No Budget Reviews episodes that I consider to be the favourites of mine out of the 201 that I filmed, but also list on screen, because I don't think some of you will be familiar with the concept of playlists, even though we've had a No Budget Reviews playlist for some time. And I'll list them all on screen in a little while, in groups of 10, which will take me an awfully long time to write out, but there'll probably be on there some episodes that you didn't even know existed. Or maybe you did, I don't know how familiar all of you are with the series. I apologise, by the way, if the sound goes out of sync. I'm afraid on this camera it just does. I'm not using a separate microphone. There is absolutely nothing I can do about it if it goes out of sync. You can't do anything if it does that, so just don't complain. I'll just remove the comment if you do, because you clearly can't read. No Budget Reviews started in November 2019 as a way of just saving money on the channel. That literally was it. There was no other motivation for having it, because Three Jacket Reviews, which was the original channel format for the first year or so of the channel's existence, was the only review format that existed. It was going to be the only one that we ever did, but we just didn't have any money to keep making episodes, because until you get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, you don't make any money. You don't make any. And we were at, oh gosh, this is a long time ago, maybe 700 subscribers, and it takes a long time to build up a channel. You know, some ones that I've seen have just come from nowhere. Like, there's quite a few I can mention that have been going far longer than me and have much greater success. But it just takes a long time, you know, for many people to build it up, and it was no exception. So when we started with the Suzuki Jimny in November 2019, it's literally we've got you know, no money to make Three Jacket Reviews. I didn't know how to edit. I had to teach myself. I'm still terrible at editing. That's not what the channel's sort of known for at all. So it was just sort of an accident, really, and I was off of a Jimny, and you know, it would have been just a real kind of problem to get Mr. Franks down just to film one episode. We live in Scotland and I live in near Southampton, so just sort of came up with it. It's almost on the spot, really, and you know, since then we've made a lot of different episodes, and I gather that you continue to enjoy them to this day. Let me see if I can actually find somewhere to park around here, viewers. That would probably be a good idea. And then we shall go through the 10 most enjoyable videos on the series that I've made. They're not necessarily the best cars or the best videos, but just the ones that I enjoyed the most myself. And I hope you enjoy hearing about those as well. If you don't, just turn the video off. is we came somewhere else in the end, because although probably in the background you would have seen that car park had some spaces in it, half of it was flooded, so we don't really want to stay in there. So now you've seen all 201 episodes of No Budget Reviews that I filmed up until today, and some of them haven't actually been released yet, although you do get to see them earlier if you become a channel member. We'll go through the ones that I consider to be the most significant ones to me. If your favourite isn't on this list, then, you know, just put it in the comment section below. Or if you see one in that massive list of episodes that I just put on the screen that you've never seen before you want to watch, then you can just go on the playlist that I'll put in the description below, and it'll be on there somewhere. So there we go. 10th position is the 1999 Renault Megane Classic 1.6 that belongs to Mr. Bill from the Fuel Power channel. That car actually suffered a major failure a couple of years ago now, and it's been put back on the road in a couple of months, but I got to film it before that anything happened to it. Very rare car, the Megane Classic, the saloon version of the Mark 1 Megane, and that car has been in his family actually since new. So it's 25 years old this year, and you know, he's working to have that put back on the road, which is fantastic. I don't know why, but I just like really sort of weird versions of the old 90s stuff, and that certainly qualifies for it. The next one we'll mention is the 2001 Toyota Corolla E110 1.4. For some reason, that car's done really well on the channel. I'm not really 100% sure why. It was a review that is very sort of basic, and it was just something that I was offered when I was up filming a load of other cars in the northeast of England. Yeah, it's just one of the ones I did over the course of an afternoon. And it was a really nice condition car, that. Very nice to drive, easy little thing, comfortable, but just quite anonymous to many people. But that's the sort of thing actually that, you know, these days people really like. They like stuff like that. The next one would be the 1985 Austin Maestro 1.6 Vanden Plas automatic. The Vanden Plas is something that I really like. I love that specification of the old Austin Rover cars from back in the day. And although the steering in that car was unbelievably heavy and it wasn't very fast, it was the first Maestro I drove. I've driven loads of others since then. And it was fantastic. Apart from the heavy steering, which I just like. Later Vanden Plas did actually come with power steering, which that car really could have done with. But apart from that, I really enjoyed that car. The next would be, well, actually, it's two. The next two entries, it's two different cars. In 2020, I drove two Daewoo Nexias, both in the same colour. One was a 1996 automatic and one a 1997 manual, owned by two friends. And I just can't separate them. They were just an absolute delight. I love weird old Korean cars. And to drive the Nexia, which is very sort of similar to a Mark II Astra, which I've still never driven a Mark II Astra, was fantastic. The steering is very weird. It's not great, to be honest, in one of those. I think the Mark II Astra as well, where the steering was a bit weird. But just a really kind of unusual car. The Espero that I drove, I think later on, it was either 21 or 22, I drove the Espero. That wasn't as enjoyable for me. I don't know what it was about it, but the Nexias were far more enjoyable to me. I don't quite know why. I think it's because the Espero is a Mark II Cavalier underneath, but it's got a different body, whereas the Nexia is kind of sort of more reminiscent of the Astra. It still looks like one. So yeah, I really enjoyed both of those. Next be two Peugeot 406 V6 saloons. One was a 1998, a pre-facelift, I drove that in 2020, and then a post-facelift one, a 99, I drove in 2023. I don't really know how to separate them out. Again, they were kind of similar feeling. The facelift one still had the same engine as the pre-facelift one. Later facelift ones had a slightly different engine in them. And of course, in 2021, I drove a 406 V6 Coupe manual as well. They're just very interesting cars. We just don't really have anything quite like that from like a mainstream manufacturer. You can buy a 508 if you want, but it's got, you know, more power than one of those, but it's still not got a V6 in it. And I don't think the most powerful 508 has a manual gearbox either. So I just find them very interesting in that way. Next would be a slightly different type of thing. It's the 2004 Citroen C3 on No Budget Reviews Austerity Edition. That was such a terrible car. It's one of the worst cars I've ever driven in my life. But back in the day, this is in 2020, Mr. Coleman was able to pick this car up for £50. And because it wasn't going anywhere near an MOT again, because the MOT had been generous last time and it had been granted this sort of 6-month extension because of coronavirus, the car was in just an absolute state. I mean, they're not great cars anyway. Mr. Manning from Matty's Cars had a C3 Pluriel on his channel quite recently, and that was dreadful as well. And so we took great pleasure in just ragging the heck out of that car, and Mr. Coleman eventually cut the cam belt on camera to get rid of it because it was terrible, but it made for an interesting video. Next is the 1997 Suzuki Baleno. I've driven two contemporary Balenos. One was, I think, a 17 and one a 19. But the original Baleno that came into this country in about 1995 is a car that's almost completely forgotten today. And they offered like a concours example to drive was delightful. I mean, I don't know why that video's not performed particularly well, but I've really enjoyed driving that. And the same team of chaps who owned the car at the time have offered me well, another car to drive that's you know, a bit like that again. So you know, that will be enjoyable at some point in the future. But the Baleno, just a car that actually there is a lot to say about it, but there isn't. I mean, it's really soft ride and handling. It's just sort of extraordinary. I just don't really know how something can be quite as sort of kind of bland looking as that. That's remarkable. Next was the 1999 Lexus IS200 from Mr. Manning from Matty's Cars. I don't know why, but that's one of the most enjoyable cars I actually drove in 2023. It was a really, really nice car to drive. The steering and handling balance of that car is like very little else I've ever driven. Rear-wheel drive compared to the E46 BMW 3 Series. And it just drove really nicely. You could just pick up about £1,000 if you don't mind a bit of a ropey one. And Mr. Manning is enjoying it, and so did I. Number two, it's not a car I enjoyed driving really at all. It's one I was terrified in, but I think because of that, the episode's quite funny. It's just a funny piece of kind of, you know, entertainment, that video. I was absolutely terrified because the brakes are so terrible in it. The gear change is so awful. But my friend Alex owns that car, and you know, I've known about it for a long time. I first did a walk over it in 2021 because I didn't want to drive it, but I steeled myself last summer and I actually went out and drove it. And what you see in that video is a result of that. It's actually edited to even less of a degree than they normally are, because I just thought it would be funny, and it was. And actually, the top video of all, the car I think I've sort of most enjoyed over the course of many years of making no budget reviews, was a car from the same owner as the 1999 Peugeot 406 V6. It was the 2005 Lexus IS 250 manual. And I couldn't believe when I drove that car about a year ago that you can pick those up for under £1,000. It won't be as nice as the one I drove, but it was just a superb car to drive. Beige leather interior, 6-cylinder engine, rear wheel drive, 6-speed manual gearbox I think it had. Same problem as the RS200 that came before it, very limited rear space. And actually the rear visibility was quite poor in that one as well, which the RS200 was okay. But what a lovely car that you can, you know, buy an example of one of those for under £1,000. I think that really sort of sums up, you know, no budget reviews. We kind of like to show kind of budget luxury above anything else, and you know, that Lexus was just the epitome of budget luxury. So there we go, viewers. I do hope you enjoyed this retrospective on no budget reviews, including a sort of little bit that I didn't tend to talk about for too long, about why no budget reviews actually started in the first place. I'm not even sure a lot of you will even know the reason for that anymore. But yeah, please do put you know, your favourite videos from the series in the comment section below, and look on the playlist for ones maybe you haven't seen, because I've done so many of them. Chances are there are some that you haven't. But anyway, thank you ever so much indeed once again for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video and leave a comment below, and we shall see you again very soon for some more inexpensive motoring.